Hello all, welcome to the Lunar Sea Spire Cartoon Fan Podcast. This is episode 337, and today we'll be talking about captured Clops from Mao Mao, Heroes of Pure Heart. I'm GC13.
And I'm David.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Badgerclops is a big ol' lazybones, isn't he?
There's two premises. One is this sort of fantastical version of the episode, which is that Badgerclops takes a Herculean journey to find where he belongs. And then the reality, which is Badgerclops has two chores, and he joins the Sky Pirates in order to avoid them. Which is absolutely the lowest we've ever seen him stoop. And I have talked about it before. It is beautiful how inconsequential are the choices that Badgerclops gets to make in this show. Like, he is so easily duped. He's so stupid, and yet he can so easily be the leader of the Sky Pirates and is absolutely not threatened by them in any way, if they try capturing him. So it's just great that he really only has to face Mao Mao in the end. And even then, he has no great realization about his life. He just realizes that the Sky Pirates are lamer and that he feels a little accomplished when he does some of his chores.
Hey, not having something that you have to do is very, very relieving. But it was pretty good how Badgerclops just asserted himself to the head of the Sky Pirate hierarchy just by being more obnoxious than Orangasnake.
Is that the defining characteristic for the leader of the Sky Pirates? Just obnoxiousness?
I think with Badgerclops at the head of the Sky Pirates, that would have been the case, yes.
Yeah, I think the arm cannon helps. Definitely helps him out.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't even have to threaten him with it most of the time. It's just social browbeating. Like, no, I'm not willing to accept that this is your chair, so just do what I tell you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Orangasnake seems to really be weak in the face of greater, not authority, but greater will. Badgerclops' will is just stronger than anybody else's.
Yeah, so we're getting flashbacks to Ba Sing Se, aren't we?
Oh, maybe. Whose will is stronger? Yeah, unfortunately for Badgerclops, he's nowhere close to being as badass as Azula. Not even close.
Badgerclops is definitely no Azula, although both of them can make beams of energy fire out of his arm, her finger, so...
Blue energy.
Yeah, blue energy, so...
Yeah, blue energy, in fact. But see, Azula, knows... This is meditated. Her actions are purposeful. Badgerclops is just stumbling around emotionally, and it's working out for him.
Running away from his problems again.
Which, I love his... This is just Disney moment, and the way that he just is so close to singing Go the Distance. And I actually thought, are those the exact lyrics? Like, is this copyrighted? This is so weird. But it was funny because there was this time in my high school where this group of kids was obsessed with that song. And so this just harkened straight back to me to that moment where people were singing like, Where I Belong. And I don't know. I wonder where Parker Simmons was drawing from, or whoever boarded this, where they were drawing from for that. But it's great. But it's also great because that's the fact that Badgerclops thinks he doesn't belong just because he gets called lazybones. Like, there's so many other directions that could have gone. Like, you could have just been mad at Mao Mao. We have an episode like that where two heads collide, but instead here Badgerclops thinks that fundamentally he doesn't fit in this household amongst the responsible Mao Mao. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous is a good word for, I mean, not just this episode, but the humor of Mao Mao in general.
Yeah, and yet, I don't remember what it was that we brought up maybe last podcast episode, but so many times there's hilariously, they'll include justifications for things when there didn't need to be, and that happened again here, where Orangasnake actually finds his hand puppet in the lake right before he then says, and I have a brilliant plan.
I had forgotten that he had just found that just out of nowhere, so it was very amusing watching him just call that out. Yes, it's not that I had this puppet forever. It's not that Oscar reached into a plot hole to grab his pencil. He just always carries one with him. Duh.
Right, I know, that definitely felt like a detail that rewarded second watching. Like, you might have just not really thought about it the first time because you're, like, just seeing them playing around in the lake. And also, you're recovering from the absolutely amazing pun of them trying to find a hard rock and then, haha, they get hit by a hard rock. Very satisfying.
I think it was an accident.
Yes, I love that. I love that Ramarath is so thoughtful in considering, that Badgerclops wasn't intentionally trying to hurt them. So sweet.
I loved the whole, see, I told you we wouldn't think it was weird.
I love, that's the thing. Like, Badgerclops is just so caught up in himself that he doesn't notice, like, he's so susceptible to just how stupid and bad the Sky Pirates are doing their job. Like, Orangutan is not pulling off this magical creature thing. And I love that he's a bad improv partner because Badgerclops asks the puppet to do magic and he's just like, no. That's the first rule of improv. You gotta go along with it.
He could have just tossed a rock up there. See, I made a rock appear and fly up in the air.
Yeah.
Badgerclops would have bought it.
And yet, they did pull candy out of nowhere. Or did they just paint the rocks? Like, what was that? He just had a pile of candy and traps already set up. Are they always carrying mouse traps on them?
I mean, you never know when a mouse trap can come in handy, so I wouldn't be surprised if they kept that.
They have a mouse on the team. What does that say? Any moment we need to incapacitate him?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's probably got sticky fingers. You probably want to... If you ever had any food in the larder, you'd probably want to protect it.
Right, if they ever actually bothered to do their groceries. Which apparently, I guess they can afford groceries. At first I thought, the Sky Pirates don't have food because they're just, they technically don't even have jobs, so they must struggle to get food. But no, they just don't grocery shop. Which is truly pathetic.
I mean, they're not scrounging in the dump anymore, so yeah, they must have got jobs somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they sometimes steal money. They don't seem to be into that, though. They're not normal pirates, actually pirating money. Oh, well.
They're probably drop shippers.
And it did end up having consequences. So, kids, remember to grocery shop, because otherwise you'll be so famished you won't see your friend running up to you to, punch you, uppercut you in the chest.
You mean casually strolling up to you?
Right. Badgerclops, I casually walked up to you. That was such a great replay that they did.
That was really, really good. Like, okay, line up in the order you want your butts kicked. Oh, I call last. You always get last.
That it's reached this point that it's just, like, why do these characters even exist? They're just here to be beaten up and to be pure gags.
Yeah, after Orangutan begins, they don't even believe in themselves anymore.
Which, like, where do you go with these characters? Like, everyone doesn't need an arc, and I don't even know how much, Mao Mao and Badgerclops' journeys are very slow and seem to be constantly regressing all the time, but, maybe, and really only Adorabat's the one potentially growing in this show. But, what do you do with the Sky Pirates after so many episodes? I think they pretty much kill it in season 2, or if this is part 2 of season 1, through the end. I really like how the latest episode finishes up with Orangutan, but still, it's impressive that they've painted them so weakly, because it really, you don't need tension in the show, but you need, like, in order for any plot to happen, even a comedic plot, there needs to be, like, something carrying it through, and I feel like this episode really pushes at the seams of that, because, at no point are the villains a threat, so it's just about, okay, how will Badgerclops' journey turn out? What will cause him to change things? And that resolves so quickly that they're like, well, what else do we have time to do in this episode? Well, let's just go ahead and show what would happen if the Sky Pirates almost died. Go ahead and do that. Not only do we put them down and kick them to the bottom and show them how pathetic they are, but then also let's look at a very realistic depiction of them exploding and dying. Like, it's almost terrifying. And I like how Badgerclops, remarks, oh, but could you imagine if they actually died? Oh well.
See, I thought the joke of that was like, oh, they have such easy lives, and then cut to how unrelaxed they are in the moment. So I thought that actually happened. They survived their terrifying crash. Yes. But the beauty of Mao Mao, Heroes of Pure Heart, is that you may have villains that are utter laughingstocks, total jokes, but at any given moment, you can easily have them level up and become threats again.
Well, except when they level up, are they threats?
I mean, you could have you could just in the second season, if you wanted to use them and have them actually be dangerous now, you could just say, oh, the Ruby Pureheart was messing with their heads the whole time, and now they're not stupid anymore. I don't think they'll do that, but they could if they wanted.
I mean, they made Patrick Star smart at least once.
For one episode, before he did the obligatory, being smart is no fun, I'm going to be stupid again. I'm just saying, you could have kept some of the brain coral. You didn't have to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, it's always a complete character reset. So yeah, did Badgerclops grow this episode? Has he been shown doing chores since?
I mean, no more than usual.
Yeah.
Remember, Mao Mao is very much this is a cartoon, kind of a cartoon, and so his extreme aversion to chores is really only a character trait in this one episode. So.
Right. It's something that you could believe would be a trait of his, but actually isn't demonstrated before or after. Which, sure.
So you see, the Sky Pirates aren't the only ones the Ruby Pureheart is messing with.
I love that, Adorbad doesn't have a very big role in this episode, but she shines brightly where she is. I love the way she plays along, with the trapdoor. Just like, oh, okay. I almost think, what if her thought process is, oh, Mao Mao's falling? Okay, yeah, I'll fall too. Whatever Mao Mao's doing, I'll do that. Or if it was to appease the Sky Pirates, I don't know which.
Yeah, I think it was to make them feel better. I mean, and then even if you think logically, which I don't think she was, why would you want to stay there alone? Probably better just to fall.
Yeah, less awkward.
I mean, yeah, then you'd have to make conversation. They would inevitably try to recruit you. And, I don't think, much like Meatwad, I don't think Adorabat knows how to gracefully get out of that conversation. Ryan Posehn, baby. Well, at the very end of the episode, anyway. But again, Badgerclops was all set to run away from yet another problem before his imagination, full on took hold.
Yeah, I mean, he was fully deluded. I almost wondered, if the food, the phenomenon of them believing in the food was actually projecting real food into the world that sustained them. But that theory was falsified by the fact that they were all fainting.
Orangutan was really selling me on that they were actually manifesting food, that lamb stuck out of his throat.
Yeah. What is Gabagoo? Is that what did he say?
Ratarang things?
Yeah, Ratarang said some Gabagoo and started eating, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Oh well.
I mean, I think it's better not to question anything that Ratarang does.
Yeah.
He's just being a Ratarang over here.
Hey, please do not shoot me over here. Best Ratarang line of the episode, at least. Clarifying over here.
I mean, Ratarang is a pleasure. I like how absolutely none of the Sky Pirates, by the way, spoke up for Orangutan being their boss.
Nope. That structure deteriorates very quickly.
I don't know if they even realized that Badgerclops was supplanting him. They're just like, whatever. We're just gonna go with the flow here.
Yeah.
These guys are definitely purebred followers.
Did they steal their ship? How did this group? There's more funny stories to be told on how this group even got together and how they ended up with anything at all. They didn't pirate their way to the ship, right? How did they have anything?
Well, we know that back before he ended up in the Pureheart Valley, Orangutan was actually a competent villain. The real question is where Ramaraf, Ratarang, and Boss Hostrich came from, because they do not fit in with the rest of the crew he had assembled to steal the Ruby Pureheart.
Yeah, where did everything go so wrong?
I think when Mao Mao and Badgerclops showed up and Adorabat tagged along.
Ugh, these poor villains that their main enemies have a 6-year-old on the team.
Yeah, who consistently beats them up.
Yeah. So there you go. Another great episode of Badgerclops stumbling around, no character growth, and had a lovely Disney reference that felt so beautifully, strangely in place, and almost against copyright law. It was great.
I'm sure everything got smoothed over, though. Anyway, guys, that's been us on Captured Clops. Join us next week. Until then, I'm GC13.
And I'm David. And there is a place where your review belongs, and that's on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Hit us up.
Later, everybody. Our opening and closing music is by Mark Soto. For more cartoon-related content, please visit lunarceasefire.com.